Hello again, Proxy Table Gaming fans and folks. PTG, I'm Hyper G, Lucky Sixes. What are you
No.
eyeballing? Eyeballing something in particular, or are you just trying to figure out what that piece of dirt on your webcam is?
Just my face, mate. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that it is. We're day one down of
We are.
Brawl in Brum.
We are.
Yeah,
And
and
yes, and day two brings us new hope and new tribulations,
new
trepidations.
shorts or same shorts? It's usually
Always the
new
same
trousers,
shorts.
isn't it? But
Yeah.
I know that wouldn't apply to you. Yeah.
No. But yes, we go in to day two with my vampires after getting absolutely humbly ass
Yeah.
handed to me, bro, by the
Hmm.
master. This is like the apprentice goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I can take you, master. Let's go. And then just gets obliterated. He Morpheus me.
Yeah. I know
And
you probably weren't intending, but are you going out there and saying Elliot next master? Or
oh,
is
well,
that
he's
a
had a
whole
good year.
different story? Yeah,
He's had a
yeah.
very good year. So there's no reason why you
But
shouldn't
how
be.
about how about we park that decision and talk about the battle?
Yeah, you started it.
I did.
Hot
I
fix.
usually do.
Vampire Covenant versus Rooties Dread Elves, and this
Ooh,
actually is a I guess apart from my first tournament, a tournament first, in that I've had four new opponents
yeah,
that
yeah,
I
yeah.
talked to quite a lot, and I've never actually played in a tournament. So this is
I can't remember the last time either of us played Dread Elves either.
I know, yeah. So
Wow.
yeah. I found out at 9:15, about 10, and I was driving at the time. That I was against
So
Rooty.
you immediately
So
let go of the steering wheel,
I went.
looked at Rootie's list.
No, drive safe, folks.
Yep,
And this is my list, as we know. We went through it in
we do.
quite a lot of
Boring,
detail in
boring.
the last one. So
Hmm.
go and check out the Meviella if you really want
Uh,
a rundown
just to double check, you haven't
of
submitted
this.
Elliot's list for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I did
Okay.
think
Yeah,
about
we're
it
okay. We're okay. Yeah.
after yeah, getting absolutely taken out. I did think about it. Then we move on to the Dread Elf list, and I'm going to take us down for
Mm.
this. And
This is
yeah,
beautiful.
it is a classic Rooty list in that it's four
Yeah.
massive units of whatever he wants to take. At the time, it used to
Hmm.
be Judicators. It's now moved over to Dancers of Yema.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, yeah, let's see what they're all about. These Dancers of
Mm.
Yema, and
The dancing, boogie
yeah,
time.
they're pretty anti Barragard.
All right. I see.
So they've
Especially
got
in those
paired
numbers.
weapons. So we'll go through everything. Don't worry. Paired weapons.
Yeah.
So
I was worrying.
parries. Don't worry about parry. The parries, you just forget about. I have parry
Yeah.
in any regard.
Hmm.
One of my best. But forget about that. Paired weapons.
Yeah. Sure.
I have the court, which of course makes me offensive 5, but they're defensive 5 anyway. So don't. That's an elf.
Yeah.
That's an
Don't worry
elf thing.
about that.
It's
Okay.
not really a
Yeah.
Yemma thing.
That's
That's an elf
yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
I'm
That's
not
just
hitting
elf.
very well. Um,
Yeah.
he's got lots of attacks, and you're like, okay, that's fine, that's fine. He can, and he's weapon master, so he can be wounding me on 2, so the toughness 4 doesn't really. And of course, I've got +1 to wound in the first
Yeah. They
round.
do.
And but their one weakness is that they don't have much AP, which is not great for me as I don't have much armor.
Was
So
it
I'm
5 up
looking at it
with
going,
Beauregard? Yeah, with the halberds, it's 5
okay,
up, isn't it?
this doesn't
Hmm.
seem that good on paper.
You've got Dying Blow though, right?
I've
So
got Dying Blow. I always
that's a
so
good thing.
the good thing is I've got the bodies to out.
Hmm.
Oh, um,
He's
yeah.
got 100 of them. Well, 110
So,
actually. But yeah.
so we want
Okay.
to talk
Yeah. So
about so the
Dying
matchup
Blows.
after an initial glance, folks,
Yeah.
was not that great. But
I
we move
love
on,
I
and you're
love
like,
as
you know
well that
what?
in that little versus scenario that we just did, it's practically all of Rootie's list against just your barricade.
Yes,
We ignored the rest of your army.
because because skeletons don't match up any better.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, fair enough. Yeah, I'll give you
And
that.
unfortunately for me as well, there's no real threat for my shrieking horror to go after
Mm,
either because
mm,
it's just infantry and these
yeah.
there's no monsters or anything to go after. So I'm like, okay.
No.
And the Varklak doesn't really like that they have +1 to wound and so many attacks all round. So he's not that
Yeah.
great. So I was like, okay, well, are the bats any good?
No.
They're not very good. Are the dogs? No, the dogs die before they, even when they charge. Before that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I? Look at
Is anything
anything
good?
else? Do I
Yeah.
have anything? Where are those vampire knights when you need them?
Yeah. Well, I've been telling you that for years. So
Well, yes.
just saying.
You
Just
know,
saying.
I had them. It's just
Yeah,
one list
you did.
without. So.
Never enough.
Anyway,
Never
we
enough.
played Secure Target and Bottleneck. He won the roll off to make me the big center. It's basically big center versus thin
He made you big. Got it.
attacker. He made me big from the off.
Mhm.
And Secure Target, I was like, okay, well, at least one of his units will have to wait over by the thing in order to like, because you just need something within 6 of the targets from turn 3 onwards. I want to say,
Sure.
and the opponent not to. It's not like a count. If he's got 3 and I've got 1, I lose. We would draw that objective. So I was like, well, at least
Okay.
one of these units have to go over there and do that.
You've got a
I've got
unit
Master of the Veil,
10 though.
and he's got Demonstrate Superiority, so he just has to kill one of my big scoring units.
You know, demonstrate superiority. It's good that that's a Dread Elf thing, because I'm saying it quickly because you'll flip the screen. Demonstrate superiority is so easy. Anyway, all right,
It's
Khan. I've had a
easy,
moment. Carry on.
Yeah, but I wasn't really looking at this because if I got anywhere near this, it was a good battle. It is what I thought. So I was like, you know what, just whatever. If I can manipulate anything to actually get to turn 6. Fair.
Yeah, true.
This is my army before
Beautiful.
it got brutalized by Elliot. Thanks very much.
Elliot.
And this was
You're on.
the
You're going for it.
turn 1 movement because it's a new day. I've slept and I completely forgot I was taking pictures.
Yeah.
Considering I've not ever not taken pictures in a battle, it's quite an odd thing to forget. But it is what it is. I basically deployed in a very, very small bubble and moved up in a very, very small bubble. I deployed for first as well so that I could just get it all down and everything. We were 1 for 1 in, and then he was just 1 for 1 in, and I was just like, well, it doesn't matter. So I'll go for first and see if I can get some movement and stuff on it. And he dropped nothing over on the other secondary objective. He didn't care. And I was like, oh, God.
That bodes well. I
Yeah.
think he's worked it out as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, all these big 4 blocks are the Yema. He's got his small militants with the court, whatever it is.
Divine Altar, it used to be.
Altar.
I don't know if it's
and the Cav, as you can see. But my thoughts were, his weaknesses are the Cav and the shooting. The shooting can't really do a great deal against me because it's only 5 guys. Like it's good, but like can't do a huge thing against me. So I'm like, okay, so those are his weak points. Let's see what I can do. He's this is his deployment as was with including Vanguard. So he when I put my Varklet down, he just went, well, how far can you go? I'll stop you getting around me. So like, fair play.
I mean, I imagine you realise this, but you've just called his chaff his weak points, basically.
Yeah. Well, it is.
I mean, it's chaff.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a weak point, no?
But the good thing is that they're maneuverability, but like they're the places I can get points out of.
True, you're not wrong. So, you are not wrong.
So that's what I'm trying to think.
Okay.
And I'm with him, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be a good fun. You're doing all that. Yeah. Oh, I'm really looking forward to just bending over for you. Yeah. Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at. Turn 1.
Okay.
And move up
Good.
to go near the objective and think, right, let's see if I can draw. Because I can draw the objective now.
Oh, yeah.
I get sold right off on this unit to try and whittle down the unit. My thought is that's where his Exarch is, so just get the unit with him in there as little as possible.
Some lovely models again on the Ruti side.
Yes, very good.
I love it. Really beautiful.
And I get a rise off in this unit to... I'm going to need bodies. This is the big thing. I get a rise on both units, actually, but I've stupidly pushed my Shrieking Horror to be to stop my unit of skeletons growing any bigger than that. So they only get 4 guys in the round. Over here, I said his shooting didn't do much. His shooting does 3 wounds to my Varkalak. It's got 10
Poison,
shots.
right?
Yeah. And I'm like, what? But anyway, he does that. He moves up there. I go in to at least mop up their points because you can't
and get some vampiric, hopefully.
And I go in and I actually take a DT to mean I've got 1 wound left.
Oh no!
After the picture, going in, and they've still got poison attacks. So I'm like,
yeah.
oh no! This was their weak point.
Yeah.
As you can see, that's the DT there. I've also got -1 res up on them, which is just...
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, a few things happened. We was talking, and I missed a picture, which was his moving up. But that's as you can see.
Yeah, you've just teleported. Yeah.
And my unit is very strangely out of position here, as you can see. It doesn't really look like a normal move. That is because...
It looks like you just put it there for no reason whatsoever. Yeah.
I know it does, doesn't it? It's a bit of a this was fine. So in his we'll do his turn briefly. He moves on the top bottom right. He moves his chaff down to go like there. They're still wounding me on 4s on the charge, by the way. So I didn't. Anyway, he moves his other chaff on the up far where he can. He moves everything to be within 13 inches of me. So it's a 4 charge for me. Yeah. And a 3 charge for him. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he tries to get some spells off, and I stop them. And then when I'm out of dice, he does the Illusory Paths spell on me. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine. He does the 2d6 random move on me. And it means I thought I didn't have to move. But you do. You absolutely do. That's one of the many iterations that was before that I've got in my head. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. If you cast that, I just won't move. You absolutely have to move, folks. Which, not going to lie, caught me off guard a bit. And if I just go back, let's see. Yeah, I'll go back to this. I chaffed his units at the top right there, and thought the best way is to make sure I get everything as much as I can in my front. So everything's in my front that can charge me, but it's all there to charge. So I'm like, okay, well now we'll really see how these Barrowguard fare. So yeah, that's why I'm in this position.
Yeah, I was actually just checking where it had changed in the whole random movement
random
thing, because
movement.
it is in random movement. It's literally highlighted in the current.
Part of my reason of thinking this, and I guess we'll go through this because there's not much left of the battle report. Spoiler. Obviously, that was added to this at some point.
Yeah, it was.
And then taken away because it was then added in the random movement, because that was obviously a silly oversight that they had. But because I thought that was the last time I played in a tournament, was when before this was. You
thought because it had been taken off the card, it meant you could just not
no,
move
actually,
anyway.
I was under because we went to card.
I had it in my
September.
battle.
We had it in one of your battles where it was completely legal
against Rory. Move. Yeah, not that I made any benefit from that, but
but that was before it got added and then taken off the card.
Yeah,
and I hadn't looked.
No,
Witchcraft. I've got no reason to look at Witchcraft because none of my guys can take it really properly. We all sort of knew in our heads about Witchcraft being a bit janky. But yeah, it's a absolutely thing. I got it wrong, and I just got to hold my hands up. And
it looks like you moved a fair whack as well.
I moved 9, which obviously again with my general in there marching is not great for those other things. But this is how I move. Otherwise, I chaff his units that are there. I leave a long charge with his Yema into my thingy skeletons. I'm within 6 of both the Barrowguard and the skeletons with my court. So there's that at least. And my Shrieking Horror comes round, presumably for a counter charge. Maybe. My head goes a bit funky, and I get Blood Curse on the top Yema guys to make them -1 strength and AP at least. So I'll get my AP and I'll get my armor save, and somewhat counter is +1 to wound.
+1 to wound, yeah.
And then I put Soul Blight on this unit to try and get rid of them so that he doesn't have a flank charge. But it's a bit silly, as really I should just be combat buffing him. And he just goes, he laughs at me and he goes, yeah, you can have that stupid spell. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
okay. That may have been a mistake in the head, but I'm being all upright. I was like, I'm going to kill these guys, and I do 2 wounds.
Were you still masking that you were perfectly confident in the situation at this point?
Yeah, 2 wounds, and he laughs again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rooty.
Well, Dread Elves have got good courage as well. So,
I don't die.
Hooray! This is the highlight of the battle.
I regain a wound, and then I take it immediately from DTs.
Oh, oh, Bucky!
Needed 6 for DTs. Are you kidding me?
Joker boy! Well, you just can't not roll a 6.
I also roll like 11 to mean he's got flank charge, just in case that wasn't dangerous enough.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just give him a flank charge. Okay. He goes in.
Yeah, naturally.
He goes in with everything here.
Ooh.
Without hesitation. I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, the fact that he only had 3 instead of 5 didn't slow him down one bit.
And he takes this charge as well.
Oh, why not?
And gets in with absolutely everything.
That must have been a 6 charge, surely.
I think it might have been a 5. I've got a feeling it was. I
suppose they're movement 5, aren't they? Elf movement still.
He rolled a 6 anyway, so it wouldn't matter if
yeah.
Rolls that, everything's in, kills this, and we go back to this screen because it's at this point that we do the battle. He just completely wipes out my unit. No joke. He does like 30 wounds after saves
to the Beauregard. Yeah.
Which just leaves my guy. My guy has done 5 wounds.
Mm-hmm.
But he just pops.
So I'm just going to work out the maths on that. Killed 30.
Yeah.
Did 5.
So, yeah. And,
not great.
I while he's laughing again, I look up and I go, all right.
Yeah.
And just...
So I imagine like he's not even dented at that point, is he? He's pretty much got his whole army still.
He's lost his...
Apart from the weak
Raven
point.
cloaks, I think they're called.
Yeah. The weak point.
He obliterates my skeletons. He obliterates my Beauregard, General, and BSB, leaving just my Necromancer, Shrieking Horror, and dogs.
Yeah.
So in this order, the Varklak dies. Then the skeletons die.
Yeah.
Then the bats die.
The bats die.
Then they go in.
Oh, yeah.
And they die.
Yeah.
And I go, well, that was a nice hour and a half we had. I was surprised. Yeah. Really, the fact I got an hour and a half out of it, I think, was a positive for me.
Well, I bet 20 minutes was you trying to work out what had happened with the random movement situation.
Yeah, probably. And that is the end of the battle. It's not a surprise to anyone. No spoiler that it's a 20-0. We look at it and go. I speak to Elliot a little bit, who tells me that he had this practice battle earlier in the week and he got 20 by it. And actually, I then speak to Rooty a bit and he goes, "Yeah, I learned quite a bit from that battle." Where you 20'd Elliot and then knew exactly what to do against. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, right? Tactic wise, and I'll say it out loud and see if you completely disagree. You ran at him here,
yes,
correct?
You're right. I'll tell you.
Despite the fact that you knew that this was a heavy red matchup. I mean, if there was a color worse than red, then this would have been it. But you still ran at him. Now, you had some ranged magic. I know not a lot, but some. Could you have made this harder for Rooty to get you if you'd literally stayed back?
You're right, and I could have eked it out. The range bit I would argue on, based on the fact I literally tried to range him with as much as possible. His courage is high.
Yeah,
and
that spell's nullified,
it
and Touch the Reaper's
nullifies
never
my
going to do
thing.
much.
So
Yeah.
both my Shrieking Horror and my ranged spells are wounding on 4s.
Yeah, sure.
So it. Yeah.
I'm just thinking you could have
as we
maybe
saw with
killed the
those
Shadow
5
Riders.
chaff surviving Soulblight. Really, that's the big thing. So
I guess
my
you're
range
right. It would have just delayed the inevitable, wouldn't it?
Always going to do that. Now, there is an argument to say I could try and eke this out for as many turns as possible, engaging with as little as possible and lose as little as possible, ending with my Barrow Guard.
Yes, have them literally in a corner while everything else dies. Yeah.
So
I might have been tempted to do that. Literally run your skeletons forward, make them as annoying as possible, so that he only had 2 or 3 turns to get to your Barrow Guard.
Yes. Yeah.
And chip away, and even like have your Necromancer lead the skeletons at some point.
So the idea would be to make him work for it. Really, is to say, look, my Barrow Guard is going to be the last thing you engage. Hopefully, it's going to be 1-on-1, and I might have magic spells to buff them up a little bit. Get my Necromancer in there.
Could your court have joined the Barrow Guard instead?
Yeah, quite possibly. It might have been a day.
You could have literally put everything in the. You could have gone proper Death Star and had 2,000, probably 3,000 points in that unit, and said, "So kill this lot."
Yeah. I think there's definitely a cause to just throw any tactics out the board and just make it a terrible, terrible game. I thought my actual thought was to try and go for his. Let's see if we can go back and talk through some things. We'll actually go for that right flank, and then I just got the illusion of pass, which meant I had to go left to keep everything in my front. So. My thought was if I can isolate him to go 1-on-1 in a battle, and then that will help. But you're absolutely right. I think on hindsight, it's just so bad a matchup. You just have to throw the skeletons, the dogs, the Varkalak, even potentially the Shrieking Horror away to keep your core Necromancer, BSB, General, and Barrow Guard alive. I think
it must be 2,500, no, maybe 3,000 points there.
So easy. I'd maybe lose 15.
Yeah, if you abandon the objective as well, which you'd have to do to protect your Barrow Guard.
Probably after that with the objective, you're looking at 16, 17. So to get 3
you don't gain much from it.
Yeah. Because I just won't kill him with anything else. So, but so it's an interesting one. There's definitely different plays to mitigate a 20 to mean I don't get 20'd. I think it's a lot of work, if I'm honest.
I mean, the other option is to do all that with your Barrow Guard, put the court and the Necro in there, and then go aggressive with them in that situation. But you kind of did that here without the court, without the Necro. It doesn't add much to them, does it? So
I mean, I tried to keep all together. I got caught out, and it flummoxed me. Really, essentially. Nice. And I got 20'd, and if fair play to Rudy, I think he did. Well. I think he even reached Masters off the back of this as well. So well done to him. And what again, a bit more context for the rest of the battle. There's actually my last battle of the thing because I was always I'm in an hour in about round 5 because I had to leave about an hour and a half early in that round. So I was gonna see if I could negotiate a score and then have a really quick battle with someone, fun battle with someone. But after getting 20'd and 20'd, I just thought, you know what, I can't get anything out of it. Give whoever I'm up against 20 if you want, or if someone else got to leave, pair me up, whatever. And we'll call it there. So unfortunately for me, that is the last battle, but it's not the last for that list. I feel like I've got unfinished business with it. Whether it's what I'll take to Out of War, I'm not sure. But one thing did come to mind on the list and the tournament as a whole was not actually anything specific to the list. It was more about my preparation. I felt vastly underprepared for this tournament as a whole. I hadn't really had. We had maybe one battle, and that was before a lot of the updates as well, which I didn't think were going to be that big. But there was some things that really caught me out. Excuse me. So going into Out of War for sure, or any other tournaments we do, I'm definitely going to have at least 3 battles beforehand. I feel like going into it, the people we play now are just so
Good.
much better. Yeah, you become a chump if you don't prepare.
There's no jumps, as Tony would say, anymore.
Yeah. So
Maybe we're the jumps.
yeah,
That's me,
very
not
much
you.
so. And
But...
I felt that. I mean, obviously, I got 20 twice, so I'm gonna feel like that. So I'm very biased in the thoughts. But I still like the list. I had some really fun games, Gwim's and Elliot's in particular.
Those were amazing games. And that's
Really,
not
really
to
amazing
put
games.
down the first one either. You know.
No, well, the first one was a really tactical one. This one against Rooty, he just laughed at me for an hour and a half.
I mean, he must have had a great time. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this is a off day. This was an off day for me, as well as a bad matchup. This was just.
You know, I've had plenty of them.
It was one of those you just have to we have to report on and get out.
Yeah.
There. But it's funny in itself, and we had a good laugh and a chat afterwards. Ironically, Rooty was going around with the slow pace spade afterwards, going, "Come on, I've finished."
Of course he was.
To everyone.
Yeah.
As well,
I suppose
so
as well, missing your round 5 didn't make too much of a difference because you were playing against someone who was on like 24-ish points, so that wasn't going to affect the top of the leaderboard or anything like that. So that made it a bit easier as well, didn't it? So,
half the reason I go into this is because I was in with an off chance of getting into Masters with it. If I'd got maybe a top third, so. The round 5 was always going to be a tough one anyway because I had to leave early, and I was like, I don't want to make it a rubbish game for someone, so I just left. It was lots of reasons why.
Tanker was aware, obviously, as TO.
Oh yeah,
you did keep him informed throughout, so it wasn't like you just.
It was
good game, Rooty. Bye.
I logged onto PayPal and I text him going, "Is this okay?"
Yeah.
All right. Before I pay, is it all right if I?
Yeah.
All
good.
So yeah, there we are. Tournament ended. Thanks very much to Tanker putting it on. Thanks to everyone for being there. It's one of the few tournaments I didn't stay the night and do the socials in the Saturday as well. So I had a massive headache then as well. So, but yeah, really, it's still really good fun. There's unfinished business with this list. I'm going to put my mind to it. Have a little think about it. Probably chat with Elliot a bit more as well.
Don't do that. Surprise him with the next one.
Well, yes. Well, but yeah, that's with this list in particular. I don't necessarily think this is the list I would take to the next tournament.
Sure.
I'm going to park this for a bit. Have it. I've got the the Barragard anyway, so models and things, which has been
and that's
really
a great
nice
addition to your list. Yeah. Your collection.
And I've added a few unit fillers around as well. I'm going to get a few more because they were lovely. Really happy with what it did for me. I was underprepared, and as a tournament, I think I didn't like that I was so how that felt. So I think I'm going to change that. And we make mistakes, so you don't have to, folks. Don't underprepare for tournaments, especially now with arguably a smaller scene and people who are dedicated towards it playing, which is really good to see. We had we should say as well, we had a few new people and with the idea that I think it was Chris and someone else, but Chris is going to come to Art of War and he's going to bring some new friends as well. So there's elements of new people players coming in as well. We just need to keep going to tournaments, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably a good time to move on to kind of like a segue into what else we wanted to talk about in this video, because we were aware that it was a slightly smaller battle report because of what happened. But we wanted to have a little bit of a chat about Ninth Age generally, as it's Christmas, and it's been quite an interesting year for Ninth Age, hasn't it?
It has,
I think there are some people who might say that 12 months ago, this time at Christmas, there were those shadows on the horizon and people saying, well, Ninth Age is going to be dead by this time next year. That was 12 months ago. It isn't dead. I think far from it. I think it's definitely got legs in it. I think it's undoubtedly going through a flux period where there have been people who've decided to step away and do other things, which is perfectly legitimate, and no blame on them, because it's a changing environment at the moment, and we'll welcome those people back once they're in a better place for it, or the game is in a better place to bring them back. But I think Ninth Age has definitely got a future, at least for now. There are always going to be those shadows on the horizon, but
we've ridden a few waves, Old World being one of them, and the change of edition being the other. I think we're still going through that, as you say, that flux period. There's going to be a few I think even after this report goes out, there's a few updates that are coming up. I think in the new year, once everything's a bit settled, we're gonna have a little more of a deep dive
Yeah.
through some of the
Yeah,
army
I
books.
can't wait for the next Saurian book. I really want to see it.
Yeah,
I really want to see so that I can start planning for Art of War. I mean, I'm going to be Saurians. I don't think anyone would be worried about what I take, and knowing that in advance, whatever. But yeah, I'm going to be Saurians, and I
yeah.
can't wait for Art of War and the new year and see what that brings. And coming back to a topic I kind of raised earlier on, any tips for the Masters? Who's going to be the Master this year? What do you think? Because Ali is defending his crown, or we assume he is, because he's had a little bit of a breather from it as well.
Yeah, it's going to be in Froome this year, 18th, 19th of January.
do you
We've
say
got
Froome? Does everyone say Froome?
Frome.
I always said Froome. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, whatever. Tell us,
Yeah.
Jack. What is it? But
Yeah. Froome or Frome, 18th, 19th Jan. Yeah, Ali's reigning champion. We've got Elliot, obviously looking strong, I think. Tanker always in the phrase, as well as Jake and Ed, always some strong players. Artem as well, if he goes.
Yeah. Indeed, he couldn't go last year, could he?
And some new faces. I think Barry's reached it. Rooty, if we just mentioned, David, I think is in as well.
I'm just pulling it up now, actually.
Yeah,
because
some really
cool,
awesome things. I think
yeah,
purely on that he is our Patreon. And I'm already Patreon. David is our man. I think.
Well, and so is Ed. We've got Ed as well.
Oh yes, of course. So Ed and David for the final.
We're split.
Round.
We're split. Yeah. You got Josh Burns there as well, the Scottish champion. Never forget Josh. Joe Sampson's going to be there. His first Masters, I think.
I believe. Yeah, I believe with one dropout, Tony might make it as well. So good luck to him for that. If anybody goes missing for the next 3 weeks, we know it's Tony's fault.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so
Chris Crawford's going to be there as well, hopefully.
Cool. So he's having a really good year as well. So yeah, some really
Matt Wilson. Sorry,
really
I'm come throwing
through
names now.
And we're really excited to see how it all goes and things, or whether there'll be an open as well. I think we're actually quite keen on that, if that's happening as well. So we'll see.
But we should say we're not overly sure on coverage this year, are we? For various reasons. So I'll mention that as an offshoot, really. But we're not sure what's going on like that.
Yeah,
I don't think
hopefully
we'll be doing it as much, will we? So
if all the stars align, we'll get something together. But we don't know how that looks right now. But we shall see. But in the new year, for sure, obviously we got more Ninth Age. We want to do a few more deep dives into the army books now that it's kind of settling, getting to the point of settling. I think a lot of people in the Nightshade sphere, as Matty would say, are waiting for it to settle down before they really start looking into it. So at that point, we'll really ramp up the videos and things like that. I think of actually looking into it, getting some comments, maybe some guests appearances as well, to try and do that. And obviously the old world will still go strong.
We will. We're going to return to our campaign, aren't we?
In
the new year.
We've just about got enough tournaments this year, but with life kind of hit us.
I need more tournaments this year. I've been very distracted with other things, which is on me. I've had a few too many hobbies this year. Not enough time, as they say. I definitely want to get back to my aim from a couple of years ago, which is go to 4 tournaments next year. That's my aim. I don't really plan a Masters qualification into that, but I think this year maybe if you did hit 4 tournaments, you would have had a chance of getting to the Masters if you did semi-decently. I only went to 2 tournaments last year, did pretty poorly in both, so I was nowhere near, which is fine. But I think, like you, it was the lack of preparedness for those that hit hard. So
I think while we're talking goals for next year, I think that's mine actually, is to every tournament to be a little bit more prepared. Try to get 3 to 5 practice games in with the list, running into it, and then be a bit more prepared for what the thing. So that's going to be my aim. I should get to 4. 5 normally my target. So we'll see on that again if we're a bit more organised. We'll do that. But let us know your goals for 2025. What's that look like? Hobby wise, maybe. Maybe it looks like that. Tournament wise, we certainly want to see many of you as possible in the UK scene going out. to tournaments, because we're definitely going to be looking at that as well. Art of War is obviously a massive one.
Huge.
That we're all going for. So that'll be really fun. I'm very excited for that. Masters, potentially Masters Open, and maybe the doors open for Scotland and things as well. So there's loads of things coming up. In Ninth Age, Old World, I've already had 3 or 4 people message me about some local tournaments as well, so maybe that's a thing. But yeah, for sure, we want to do some deep dives, and yeah, like we said last year, some extra content as well. So look out, like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz on our stuff. Put in the comments, you can put thoughts on this game, but you don't have to, please.
Yeah. And if you wanted to give PTG a Christmas present, why not join us on Patreon? Because that would be amazing. You know, we would love you like we love all of our Patreons and all of our viewers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great. I'm feeling good for 2025. I think it's going to be a good year, and let's all get in there together. Great to see the Paired Weapons podcast and Fantasy Wargaming podcast back as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm hoping a few other content creators come out of it. You know, there might be some
new
people,
come back,
maybe,
boys.
And some of the YouTubers as well do on it. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you're a content creator and deciding to do that. Then definitely hit us up, because we love that stuff. But also any sort of tips or goals for 2025 that you've got planned, and yeah, if even if you've not got anything particularly planned in the next month or so, have a very, very Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
New Year.
Keep safe, folks.
Keep safe and keep subscribed. Is that the catchphrase? Maybe that's the catchphrase for next year. Right, so yeah,
sounded a bit desperate.
Yeah, I know.
Please keep subscribed.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for everyone at the tournament as well. Really fun games. Like, share, subscribe, hit us up on the socials. And until next time, and until next year, see you later.